Hello, everybody. My name's Tim Burgess,
Hello.
and I'm here
These chairs are crazy, man.
to talk to Kurt in front of you,
Dude,
which
I
is
can hardly see you. It's like crazy.
it's the light I asked for.
Is it? You like this a backlit affair? Yeah, that's nice.
But yeah. So everyone's here because Kurt's got a new record out, Lambchop, and it's really wonderful, as I'm sure you all know. Anyway, but how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
How was your journey over?
Fairly uneventful.
I see. Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. So I guess there's been a few changes on your new record.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
That I've read a little bit about, but having heard it, I can see what people are talking about.
Oh
but,
yeah, you've checked it out.
Yeah, I have.
Oh,
Yes,
good.
I very much have. That was the only kind of like reference that I had, really for tonight.
Right.
Was the album,
Right.
which is and a few notes, and I read a few things that people had been saying, and and I wanted to know whether they were true or not.
Well, as you know, you can't believe anything you read, but or at least most of it. Yeah, I'm glad you checked it out. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
but you were happy. You were. I didn't let you down, did I, man?
Well, in 1998,
It's a 30-minute chat, Tim.
in 1998, I was given a cassette, and it had Lambchop written on it.
Oh yeah.
And the first song was "My Face, Your Ass."
Yeah. It's a good one.
Yeah, and it was taken from an album called Thriller.
Yeah, that was a good one too.
And yeah, so it kind of blew my mind, and I became a Lambchop fan from that moment on. And yeah,
What is it
so
like-
it didn't disappoint in any way at all. And I think it's potentially the best record you've done, I think.
Awesome.
Yeah, and a massive turnaround from the last one, which was also good too. But
You mean
anyway.
so Thriller is your favorite record?
Well, Thriller was the first,
Oh, the first
album that I had, but it was a cassette that was made up of your first three albums.
Oh.
And yeah, I became a fan, and I've kind of been able to watch the way you move. The way you've danced through
All right. Yeah.
through life, and yeah, it's fair to say that
Yeah.
yeah, it's a great record. I'm thrilled for you.
I
really.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thrilled too.
So is it true that you made it because you were hearing sounds from your neighbour?
Yeah, I mean, neighbors, they play their own music, and they're in pretty close proximity. You've been to the house. There's a little driveway there. And
Yeah.
they used to just park their cars there, and then they would break down and stay there for, I don't know, months at a time sometimes, or in one case, there was one there for years. And but the stereo worked, and so it was like their living room in a way, and they'd go out there and hang out and listen to music, and this was going on, for like 20 years. Different cars, but the same scenario. And I watched this whole family grow up. And there was one guy who was part of the family, so like this extended family, and he moved up from Atlanta. He had this red Firebird, I think, and I knew he was in trouble because they towed it off the truck and dragged it into the area, and there it stayed it never started up, it never moved, but it had a great system, and he had great taste in hip hop. That's where I first heard all this crazy Atlanta stuff that was going on, like really early on. So he was really into this sort of mixtape culture, and so that was sort of the thing was going on. I loved the music, and you know they'd have parties and basically just get down on the street. They were kind of wild for a while, but the music was always killer. And I didn't think much about it. I didn't even know who the artists were or anything. I just liked the sound, and that's sort of
Kind of filtered through.
yeah. I mean, I'd always never even thought that it would be something that I could get next to as far as an artist and stuff, or get my head around as a performer. But it was like it was sort of a gradual thing. But once I started thinking about electronic music, then I started connecting what was happening in technology and the connection in hip hop, and I went, wow, it was incredible. And then now the technology in hip hop is just fantastic, you know. The way they produce these records, they're just, it's mind blowing, it's revolutionary. They're changing music, they're changing the way you and I make records.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's kind of freed you up a little, maybe.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Well, you know how it is. I mean, when you're younger, you free yourself up in different ways with different things.
Mm-hmm.
And as you get older, you find, yeah, right. You don't know anything about that, Tim. But
Well.
as you get older, you start to put those things away, and you get free in other ways. And I believe me, I can barely turn on a laptop, as you will find out in a minute here. But you know, and once you start finding that out, that sort of opens you up in a way that's kind of similar in that the possibilities in your mind are endless because this thing, you know, is at your command.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you learned Ableton.
I totally. And forgot it, and learned it again, and forgot it. That's the thing, I can't hold it in my head very long, so you have to keep doing it all the time, otherwise I forget how to do everything.
But I love the idea that, you know, you've been making music, you know, for quite a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then to just kind of stop and kind of almost like drop tools,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
restart with a new set of
Well, I was looking for
method.
another way, you know, to make life exciting for me as far as an artist, and I've always done that. I mean, I've
Yeah.
done that several times with what Lambchop does, you know. And I don't think, in a way, this is all that radical from what we've done in the past. It's just a, you know, a different set of tools.
Yeah. Although you changed your voice, kind of.
Well, yeah,
a way.
it's gotten deeper, but
Yeah. But then you've changed your voice in the past as well. So
yeah,
with the high pitched stuff that.
yeah,
that,
some fucker can make that happen. Yeah.
But then I ripped you off and did an album of falsetto songs as well. So.
Oh, dude. There's some other guys we probably should thank for that. Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, I've got a piece of paper. I've got some notes.
yeah, that's right. Ooh.
Not that pocket.
Here, I've got some too. Wait. Oh, 38 euros. Yeah, I'm gonna put that away. It's a bar tab, Tim.
I asked. I quite like going on Twitter, and I said that I was interviewing you tonight, and I thought I'd put it to a Twitter audience about if there's a question that anyone would like to ask you on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And someone, Keelia Hawksmore, said, does Kurt hear the finished song before he starts writing? Well, that's pretty good.
That is a good question. Some people do. I don't. But there are people who do have that kind of ability in their brain, you know. Do you?
No, I never have the finished article in my head, ever.
But you have like a little melody or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always start with a melody and a bit of a chord sequence at the same
Yeah,
time.
it makes you feel good. And you're like,
Yeah. And then a few just like throwaway words, and then
Yeah.
just like the sound of or something like that.
Yeah.
But I never have the finished thing in my head.
Yeah.
It's more of a just keep chipping away, really.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I think for me, it's like just one thing leads to another, that leads to another, and then you start having fun,
Yeah.
and then something else happens, and I just try to let stuff in. You get into a place where you just sort of allow your world to come in and your experience, and then see what you can make of it.
But
you
was
know.
this like a completely new world for you, do you think?
Well, it turned into one in a way. Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize what I was quite. I kind of still don't really. I still don't know where I'm going with it. But that's exciting.
That's a
and
really good place to be, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I did when I didn't know where I was going to begin with anyway. You know, which is cool.
It's really cool.
Um,
Yeah.
what do you guys think?
Has anyone else heard it at all?
Yeah, I mean, do you guys have a
It is pretty brand new.
question from Twitter for us?
Oh yeah, no, I've got.
Oh, you got more?
I've got some
Oh,
more
shit.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right.
I knew this was gonna be.
No, you're doing great, man. You only got 20 more minutes to kill.
Yeah, I'm not gonna mention that. So, how's Nashville?
Well, it's insane.
What's happening?
Well, there's a lot of, apparently there's 80 people a day moving to the city. They're building just gigantic structures to house these people. And, yeah, it's turned into Williamsburg.
Is J&J still there?
Who?
J&J's coffee?
No,
It's not there anymore.
no.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry, man.
I don't know whether any of you know, but me and Kurt made an album together
Right.
a while back. But it was the greatest experience going to Nashville for 10 days.
Yeah.
We'd meet every morning for coffee at this place called J&J's.
Yeah.
And then I'd go back to my hotel, which, according to Kurt, isn't there anymore either.
No.
Now, but it was only 2010.
It's,
And Kurt would go home, and I would send him an MP3 of some noodling about that I'd done, and he'd send me a full set of lyrics.
and then we were done. Then we'd have coffee the next day and go, wow, that was cool. What are we going to do now?
Yeah, and we'd just talk about everything, like records and record shops and
Yeah.
just all the fun stuff. And then do the same over
Yeah.
for 10 days, and it was just an amazing experience, really. But
You know, you would think that if we were in the same city, we would be in the same room.
but we were. I felt that.
But we weren't.
But it was so important for me to be in Nashville as well.
I remember,
Even though I could have been at home.
You really could have, you know. But coffee would have been tricky.
Yeah, the coffee in the morning would have been a bit tricky.
That was
but
the thing that made it work, I think.
Yeah, I think it was. But anyway, yeah. So how do you feel about that record now?
Yeah, it was fucking fun, man.
Yeah. Should do it again.
Yep.
But anyway, less about me.
Oh, why? Oh, I guess. Well, yeah.
You're not drinking as much coffee now.
Dude, I had to cut back. It's a bummer, man. I really miss it. One cup. That's
One
all
cup
I
a
get.
day?
Yeah,
Yeah,
in the morning,
that's-
and then I got to stop. I cheated today, though, but that will be evident here shortly. Yeah.
Just get back to my notes.
Yeah. You got a pile there.
NIV. Krautrock.
Sounds like you've been reading the Sunday Times.
The song NIV?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's got a real kind of. It's if you had to say Kurt Wagner and kind of krautrock,
Well,
I think it might take people by surprise a little bit.
dude, I like that stuff. I really like that stuff, actually. Yeah, I don't know. That was Matt. That was a long. It's not even a long story. It's really a short story. I had misinterpreted what that means. I thought it meant new inspirational verse, but apparently it doesn't.
I don't know.
It means new international version. So I thought it was sort of. I felt, and I think they're referring to the Bible. a new edition of an Old Testament.
Old Testament, yeah, yeah.
Well, I don't know, but yeah. So I didn't know that. So it ended up being sort of I don't know. I hate to get all kind of spiritual on everybody, but yeah, I think I was reflecting a little bit on what spirituality means when you get old and you're struggling. It's not happy stuff, really, but yeah, I sort of went to that place with it, and then I found out, well, it's just a version, but it is international, and yeah.
It's one of my favourites on the album.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Sorry, I'm probably not going to do that one today. I thought about it. I could, but it's a different version.
Right. Yeah. It means more now.
But you get krautrock out of that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good.
Yeah. Klaus
Good.
Dinger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Big fan.
Cool.
Big fan of all kinds of music. That's why it's
You
none
truly
of it.
are.
None of it's really surprising what you do.
Yeah.
But is it a political record?
Just in the way that politics is part of my life because of my wife, and it's just like anything else in this record. The sounds of the neighbors, what my life was like as a husband of an active political person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, you know who's gonna fucking win. And it's not gonna be by a little. Look,
We're frightened by the American election, mate.
I can't imagine why you wouldn't be. I think everyone is paralyzed at the moment. It's really weird to be here, actually, which is nice because I don't really have to think about that for the next 45 minutes, but which is great,
And can you tell us about the artwork?
Well, the artwork is a painting I did of my wife. She got the opportunity, doing what she does, to you get to go pose with Obama, in front of the flag of an event or the White House. It was probably the White House, and I said, "Wow, this is the best picture. This will make a great record cover." And she says, "There's no way you're going to be able to do that. They just won't let you do that. You don't do that with your." I would have to get permission from the White House, and you know how long that takes. So anyway, so I thought, well, I'll just crop it and paint it, and then it's everybody's.
But then this is only the second time you've done your own paintings on the cover of
Actually,
a record.
the third.
The third. Ah.
The very first record we made, I did a painting of one of the guys. This guy named Scott Chase used to play with us. He used to play the lacquer thinner can and the open-end wrenches. And so he had a picture of his wife holding a dog with an incredibly large package.
I hope you're sitting down. Yeah,
And I think it's coming back to you, right?
Yeah,
The dog with the package.
Yes, yes,
Yeah. And so it was a commission, a portrait, and so that was the first record.
Yeah.
And I decided
Mr. M.
Mr. M, and
Yeah.
then of course this one. But I didn't
That
want to
was
do.
quite a leap, though, wasn't it, to do with Mr. M?
Yeah, I mean, what I wanted to do more was incorporate the art. I know a lot of friends that are great artists, and over the years I've asked them to do different record covers because it seems more family-like. It's like it's part of you because they're your friends.
Yeah.
Just like most of the stuff I do, I want it to have some sort of personal relationship with me. It doesn't necessarily important that you guys understand that, but for me as a guy, it makes me feel good, and it makes me feel like I'm being honest about what I do,
It's really great. Yeah. Does anyone have a question?
Yeah, I mean, truly, you guys are allowed to speak and ask questions.
There's so many of you.
And they can be about the election, but I think we've covered that pretty much.
Why do you use a voice synthesizer so much in the new record?
Because it's fun. It's just so much fun, man. And also, I mean, there's something about over the years. I mean, when I was making records early on, I worked with an engineer who worked in the country music industry, and they used auto-tune for what it was designed for, to make Reba sound like she knows what she's doing and can sing and stuff. And so they were very careful about it, not to. They were trying to perfect a voice with a machine. But what's happened in music, and then when people started doing it, I was pretty freaked out by it, and I was just like, "What the hell's going on?" And but that was like maybe 8 or 9 years ago, and since then, it's really become an accepted part of what we take in our daily life, whether it's the music you hear on the street or in the grocery store, maybe in the car next to you, the boom, boom, boom. It's it's pretty much an accepted form of sound. And I was thinking, well, why not? I mean, but it was still like sort of something I couldn't. It wasn't until I found this thing here, which what happens is it does it in real time. It's not some sort of massive studio undertaking to manipulate your voice. It just happens as you do it. Suddenly, then it sort of made sense for me that it was an expressive tool that you could use in creative ways. And so it's a lot of fun. And it seems to be, I'm just scratching the surface. I really am just learning about this every day I use it.
Have you got a favourite record of all time?
Favorite record? No. I mean, I like a lot of music. But to say that I have one, as soon as I would say one, I'd go, oh, but there's this one, Oh, there's that one too. So, have you?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's Darkness on the Other Town. Oh, it's a great record.
It is a good record.
What was that?
It's on Edge of Town by Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, I thought it was the
It
Dark
is
Side
an
of the
excellent
Moon.
record. That you would make my wife very happy by saying that.
It's not as good as Damaged by Lambchop.
You know what? I might disagree with you a bit there.
When you tour this record,
Yeah.
are you gonna revisit much of your back catalogue?
We are.
Change it up a lot.
What I've been doing, I've been on tour right now with a trio version of Lambchop. We were playing some shows in Spain, and the idea is that we're trying to get comfortable with the way we combine, existing Lambchop with this new material as well, and it's great. It's a gas, and I think it's more about how you frame it. I mean, for me, this record is pretty open and fairly minimal in the sounds that are involved in what you hear, and because of that, a more simpler, stripped-down version of Lambchop seems to work well, and it certainly makes all these other songs sort of have a new life as well, because they aren't so ornamented by so many musicians and an orchestra and all these things. And it's sort of nice to hear these songs breathe a little bit after all these years. It's just a way of, and it seems to be working pretty well. I'll try to demonstrate that for you here in a minute.
Are you still working on wood floors?
I still get, I'm a consultant now, basically. I get texts from people all the time. Oh, well, I'm doing my floors, and, I just got one the other day. A guy was working on his bathroom, and he needed directions to the can.
What English records do you like? What English records do you like?
Man, there's so many. I mean, I lived in Sheffield in about 1972, and so I'm sentimental about that particular era in British music. And there's just so many. I mean, that's kind of where I came aware about music in general, was up there. I lived there for like a year, and I was like, I guess, first form or what it was. But it was an exciting time. It was, I think, Imagine it had come out then. Ape Man was on Top of the Pops. God, there was just so much great music. I went to see like King Crimson for like 75p. stuff like that. I mean, but that started my sort of affinity and fondness for British music. I mean, but I mean, it started as even younger, as a child, watching the Beatles on Ed Sullivan. I mean, that blew my mind. I grew my hair; it looked just like Tim's, and yeah, it did.
Can you say something about how you write your songs? And there's a lot of daily observation. Do you do notes during the day, or how does the songwriting process work for you?
I try to keep it open and mix it up. So there's really any there's no rule really. It just sort of, again, it's about allowing your life to come into the work that you want to make. And it seems like the things that are on your mind, the things that you reflect, the things you encounter at the moment. Like I'll be maybe at a desk and I'll just glance up and I saw, oh, just an example is a little doll that my wife gave me. It's a Mitt Romney. Uh, and the caption is, he's pooping like candy. And it just happened to be where I was at in the songwriting, and then well, it's right in there. So to me, it's kind of weird and like, well, it doesn't make sense. Well, but it does because it came from the moment you were actually working on the thing, and it's just like taking a breath and then including that breath in the work that you make. Or it's just absorbing something that happened outside. I mean, there's been many songs I've written on the porch where, a leaf will fall down, the dog will chase after it, and well, there you go. And it just becomes, I don't know, you just sort of integrate that information. Musically, it's a whole other story, and that's been a sort of I've always been probably the least proficient musician in Lambchop. But I had crazy ideas, and so you put that together with really good musicians, and you get lamb chop.
Okay, what about the duration of the first track on the new album, the
Hmm.
12-minute remix?
Yeah,
How was that arrived at? How do you know when to stop or?
that was crazy. It took about, I think the track's 12 minutes, and I think it took about 15 minutes to write. It was weird. This hasn't happened very often with me. I mean, I've been laboring over songs sometimes over a year, but all of a sudden this one just sort of popped out. And I just went down and recorded it on my phone and went, well, that's that, you know. But it was, it kind of goes back to, well, a friend of mine sent me this Dylan thing that came out about, what's the, 65 to 66. It was like the transition from him working in New York to going down to Nashville and recording, Blonde on Blonde and the following record. So it was like 36 discs or something of every track, every take that he'd made during the period of making those records. And you can see the transition of what he was doing in New York at the time and the effect of what happened in Nashville. And you're seeing it in real time. That's the way the musicians and the producer and the artists saw it. It's fantastic. And obviously those were some pretty long songs, some of them, and I got fascinated with the form. And I'd never thought I would be audacious enough to do something as long as that, and I certainly didn't intend it to be audacious. Just that's what it turned out to be. It's like, well, it seemed like to just leave it instead of try to chop it down or edit it or something like that. It's a difficult song to perform, and I pretty much screw it up every night. But in a way, that's okay too. I mean, you just do your best, right?
Is there anyone local to you or in your neighbourhood that you are collaborating with, or anyone that you, any artists or bands that you'd recommend?
In my neighborhood,
Yeah, like local to you.
oh, there's a lot. There's a lot of great people. Right now, there's a band called Bully, who's pretty incredible. There's an artist called Margot Price, which is great. A woman named Caitlin Rose. God, there's a lot of younger ones too. There's a band called Jeff, the Brotherhood. I mean, they're great. There's a guy named Jack White. He's pretty crazy. Yeah, right. And they're in the neighborhood. Yeah, yeah,
Kurt, do you
yeah.
have a preference around about the size of kind of audiences you play to? I saw you play at the Bowery in New York City.
Hmm.
The second time I saw you, the big show
I'm glad I didn't know that then. I'm happy with any audience that wants to listen to me. But frankly, this is great. I like this almost the best, you know, something like this. We're actually talking to people. Like, I don't even want to play music. I'd rather just sit and talk to you. You know. I mean, it's comforting to actually connect with people that are listening to your music. It's a strange thing to make things, and then it just goes out in the world, and you never really meet the receiver, you know. And I think this is really cool. It'd be great to do it all the time, but for some reason that doesn't happen very often. Well, currently, I'm really into the whole LA, specifically LA, and the production that's coming out of LA. And it's a pretty wide range, but most of the contemporary, cool hip hop stuff, definitely Kendrick. I think he's changing music, and he's also changing hip hop, but by virtue of the innovations that he's doing in the recording world. But it's the same with the new Frank Ocean record. I like the new Nick Cave. That was a joke. But there actually is a connection between what this new Nick Cave record is absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. And the production, you'll notice, is fairly atmospheric, right? It leaves a lot of space and for his artistry, his words, the way he sings. Well, what I'm noticing in hip hop really currently is that they're getting away from the beats and stuff, and they're getting very atmospheric about it. And this is what I mean, that it's starting to morph into something that we don't. It's changed into something else, and it's very exciting. But it's having an influence on, I think, the production of other records. While I'm at Great Records right now, that new Leonard Cohen is just a godsend, right? You know, his son did that. His son Adam. So finally, there's a guy who sort of gets him. You know, it's just, you know, and it's been a while. I mean, he's made beautiful records for sure, but this one, man, it's a heartbreaker, man. It's just. Whew.
Is there one more question?
Does making paintings scratch the same itch for you as making music?
Oh, it's just it's like when I don't do it, I feel like I'm on a diet. But it's not always possible for me to sustain both mediums. You know, I can't be painting right now and talking to you. I wish I could. So it is a little frustrating like that. But in a way, yeah. I mean, I look at it's just another medium. I'm just a guy who likes to make stuff. Sometimes it's music. Sometimes it's painting. You know, make people happy. That's another thing I like to do. I think that's what artists like to do a lot. I think that's a big motivation for us. Right?
Very much so. Well, so you're going to talk to people a bit more later. Are you going to sign some stuff?
Oh, I'm definitely going to sign some stuff, and I'll be here as long as you want me until I have to go watch the returns.
So
They will be broadcast, right? You guys aren't blacking them out or anything, right?
I think we'll get to hear about it.
Hope so.
Yeah. But you're going to play some music.
I'd love to. Is that cool? All right.
Okay.
It's time.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you, guys.